Well, hi folks, thanks for joining me again. In our last video we talked about how to set up the Oxy station and how to get a neutral flame. We also looked at how to run a puddle so you can have that molten area where you can start your weld. And today I want to show you how you are going to use the molten puddle, pushing it forward, and at the same time you're going to use a filler rod to dip in that puddle and create the weld. So with our puddle that we're going to push forward, we're going to have a molten area of metal that we're going to dip our filler rod into. It's going to be a motion where we're going to have our torch at an angle where it's going to be pushing that weld. So we're going to be 90 degrees work angle, 45 degree travel angle, and I'm going to work in a circle and push that puddle forward. Once I'm doing that, I'll have my puddle. I'll be working that forward and I will be dipping. So I'll be working that puddle forward and I will be holding the filler rod really close to where it's getting heat on that filler rod, but it's not right in the flame. Because what we want here is we want a little molten drop that's just ready to drip off, and we're going to put that right in our puddle. So it's a double motion. We're going to be making circles and moving forward with the torch, and then we're going to be dipping our filler rod into that puddle. So now, if we look at this from a bird's eye view, we'll have our torch, we'll be making our puddle, we'll have our filler rod very close to that heat so it can become a molten little ball of metal on the end of that filler rod. And when we get a little molten ball on the end of our filler rod and we have a nice puddle, we're just going to dip that in there, and then we're just going to keep moving forward and dipping that filler rod right in that molten puddle as we move along. So we're going to try to go ahead and get a puddle with our torch and then use our filler rod to dip in there, and we're going to see if we can get a nice weld going on here. I know it's tough to see on camera. We'll see what we can do. So we're going to work on getting our puddle here. We're going to put our filler rod nice and close so it can pick up some heat as well. We're just starting to get a puddle here. It takes it a little while to heat up at first. Takes it a little bit to get that nice molten puddle. But once you have it, it's nice and easy to keep. So now we have a nice molten puddle, and I'm just going to dip my filler rod right into that puddle. And I'm pushing that puddle forward. You can see sometimes it'll pop. There's nothing to worry about. Just go right back to doing what you're doing. So we can see a difference here in just the puddle that we pushed forward and the actual weld. So I'm going to go ahead and cool this off in my water bucket, and then we're going to take a look at it up close. So we can see a difference here. As I turn this, you can see the difference in the weld compared to just the puddle. The weld is actually raised up a little bit because we've put filler metal in there. So that's what we want it to look like when we have an Oxy weld. So you might have a couple questions, and some that I get most often are, what do you use for your filler rod? And what I use for a filler rod is just a metal coat hanger. It's not the best, but it works pretty good, and you can a lot of times raid your closet, find the metal coat hangers, and then it's free filler rod for you. Another question I get is, why would I use Oxy welding over MIG or arc? And the answer to that, personally, is in arc welding, a lot of times you can't use that high amperage on a really thin piece of metal. It'll just blow right through it. And a lot of times with MIG, if you're doing an exterior and outside application of welding, that any wind can blow away your gas, your shielding gas, and cause you to not have as good a weld. And so the Oxy welding, the flame can be right where you want it to be, and we don't have to worry about any shielding gas. So like always, whenever you're welding or doing anything, you want to make sure that you're safe. You always need your safety glasses. You need your gloves. I don't have my jacket on right now because I'm not welding, but you also need your Oxy goggles if you're doing Oxy welding or MIG welding. You need your number 10 shield on if you're doing MIG or arc. So stay safe and enjoy welding.